This time on Roadkill Garage, way too much blower and not enough truck.
Throttle down and dyno bound. Hit it, Ish!
Every project car always makes a comeback on Roadkill Garage, and this time, it's the 1967 Chevy C10 shortbed. Let's go over the history of this truck. It was purchased as a long bed for the Hot Rod Garage show, and then Tony and Lucky, the hosts on that show, they put a shortbed on it and shortened up the entire frame, did a few engine hop-ups and everything. And then the next time you saw it was right here on Roadkill Garage, where I acquired the thing and claimed that I was going to turn it into a race truck. And then after that, this thing was in the Muscle Truck Shootout, which was a super popular episode. But the whole time, everybody has been griping about how this thing is just pig slow. And so on this episode, I'm going to do a little bit of an experiment to find out if we can fix that. We're going to leave the engine bone stock and install a supercharger. Okay, Dulcich, road test. It's such a nice and quiet, good cruising truck. I mean, I feel it needs more power, but hopefully we don't ruin the drivability and the cush. That's my whole experiment here is, will the supercharger be worth it without any other mods? Without cam and heads?
I think you might be onto something.
Because I figure if you're going to tear into this thing, first of all, it's a GM Goodwrench motor, old one, no compression,
right.
Bad heads and everything. So you got to put a cam and heads on it and everything. And what's it going to make? 375, 400 horsepower with it? And yeah, make the same or more with a blower and no mods if the tiny camshaft doesn't screw us.
It will be kind of like a science project, an experiment.
It's totally experimental.
You like putting blowers on stock low compression engines.
Or anything.
I feel pretty cool in a Chevy 67 shortbed C10.
It's swank, isn't it?
Yeah. How does it feel as far as the handling?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah?
I think it needs to come up a little bit in the front. It's a little too low.
Yeah, I agree. Does it have coilovers that are adjustable?
Yep, of course.
Oh, wow.
QA1. We're ready for boost. What we're gonna do on this episode is a blow-through supercharger on the truck. So the tech that you're gonna see is installing a centrifugal supercharger, showing how to blow through a carburetor, showing you the fuel and ignition modifications that you need to make, and the gauges that we recommend to use for the tune-up process to make it all work. So this is gonna apply to anybody who wants to use a centrifugal blower or even a turbocharger with a carburetor. The thing that makes this pretty unusual is that the engine in the truck is a stock long block. And so we're fighting really bad cylinder heads, a tiny camshaft. The only mods this has is an intake and headers. Now let's talk about the specific parts that we're using. This is a ProCharger F1A94. I've witnessed these things making 1,250 horsepower. Now, if you were gonna do what we're doing here, you're probably gonna pick a cheaper supercharger, not one this far, up the line, but this gives us a lot of room to grow. But the other tech that we've got here with the whole fuel system and the ignition and everything, it's gonna apply to you even if you're using a cheaper blower. So we're gonna do the mechanical part of hanging the supercharger on it first, and then we're gonna get into the fuel system, then the ignition, and then the gauges and the tune-up. And in the end, I hope to take this thing to the chassis dyno and find out if this was really a good idea or a really terrible one. Either way, the tech is gonna apply to you. You just might wanna start with a different motor than this stock 350. We hit our first obstacle already. The blower bracket hits the water pump, so I'm just gonna grind a little bit of that cast iron and solve that. I think that's gonna get it. Okay, blower bracket on. Our next challenge is gonna be whether all the pulleys and everything line up. The other thing that's super cool about this ProCharger is that it's got its own oiling system. You just pour oil in it to the proper level and you're done, which is great. Now that the blowers matter, we can do pulleys.
So the replacement pulley for the supercharger has a serpentine drive belt for the blower, and it's got two V-belts, one of which should line up with the alternator. Boom. Stock pulley out, performance pulley going in.
I'm changing the blower pulley. The smaller pulley spins the blower a lot faster than the larger pulley, and spinning the blower faster makes more boost. So this is the largest pulley that we've got, 4.25 inches, and I'm gonna use that to try and cut the boost down, and hopefully it's not too much for this thing. There we go. The blower drive on this is gonna use a regular serpentine belt. This one's an 8-rib drive. I've complained a lot publicly about using serpentine belts on centrifugal superchargers because they slip, but really that's only when you're trying to kill it with boost. On this thing, it's gonna be fine. Boom, easy. Now we get into the water pump pulley that's gonna require, I think, spacing that alternator out.
All we're gonna do is take this, our replacement alternator pulley, and swap it for the stock one. Everything should line up perfectly.
All right, the blower drive and the alternator and everything are gonna end up working out good. So now I'm moving on to the fuel system. Here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna take boost out of the blower right here and shove it through a carburetor like this. This is a hat provided by ProCharger. This is what's called a blow-off valve. It's so that when you're driving along at wide open throttle, making a bunch of boost, and you lift off the throttle, the engine is still spinning and the blower is still making boost. You don't want to be cramming air down closed throttle blades. And so it senses intake manifold vacuum when you lift, and it opens up and bypasses all of the boost air. So that is going to be blowing through this carburetor. QFT makes this carburetor just for blow-through applications. A regular carburetor is set, naturally aspirated, not with air being crammed through it. And so the pressure drop annular boosters to pull more fuel and things like that. Now, the other thing that's important, though, is when you've got this hat over the top of the carburetor, pressurizing everything and blowing air through the boosters and through the venturi, you're also putting air down these two tubes, which are float bowl vent tubes. A typical carburetor is going to have, say, 5 to 7 psi of fuel flow going this way into the bowl through the needle and seat, filling up the bowl. Now, if you add that same 5 to 7 psi right here with a blower, the net result is 0 fuel flow. So what you need is what's called a boost reference fuel pressure regulator that is going to increase the fuel pressure at a 1-to-1 ratio above boost. So therefore, if you have 5 pounds of fuel pressure to start with, and then you have 5 pounds of boost on top of it, that means you need a net of 10 psi of fuel pressure in order to continue to flow fuel into the carburetor properly. So we got this Aeromotive little basic boost referenced fuel pressure regulator right there. And we're gonna use it with Aeromotive's lower end electric pump. I didn't need one of their big killer race pumps. This one will handle the, less than 500 horsepower that this turd's gonna make, no problem.
So it took a little reworking to get my return line a little bit tighter to the sending unit here, but I think I've got it where it'll fit. I've also taken the time to make new hard lines to go through the floor, so hopefully all of that will line up. Oh, there she goes. That's what I call cooperation. There's that one. Through the same hole, and it's gonna have a short piece of hose to link this, and that's it. That's the install. All done.
Pump installed. Now we have to just plumb it with Dulcich's new happy lines and everything. Steve's got the carb hat pretty much figured out, and I am working on vacuum lines. So let me give you a little bit of training on how that works. The boost referenced fuel pressure regulator has to be referenced up here to the hat. You can't do it below the carburetor. Here's why. Remember I was talking about how the fuel pressure needs to increase in direct proportion to boost? Well, the boost that the vents in the float bowl see is right here in the hat. That's why it needs to be referenced to a hole right here in the hat. The boost up here in the hat can actually be greater than the boost down here in the manifold. And so if you put your boost reference fuel regulator down to the manifold, you might end up with not enough fuel pressure. So the blow-off valve, however, it needs vacuum to operate because it wants to open when you lift off the throttle. You're not going to see vacuum up here. You are going to see vacuum underneath the carburetor. So the blow-off valve goes beneath the carburetor and the fuel pressure regulator goes above the carburetor. Here are the gauges that I've got mounted here in this panel. I've got a wideband air-fuel ratio meter, a fuel pressure gauge, and a boost gauge. I would look at these as like the bare minimum that you need in order to tune one of these setups. The wideband air-fuel ratio, you'll see later on I'm gonna have to weld the O2 bung into the exhaust pipe and it'll read what's actually going on in the pipe to tell me the air-fuel ratio average from the engine. And that's gonna be critical to prevent blowing anything up. Finally, the last step before the test drive, which is going to be ignition timing. And so we don't want to damage it with boost, and so we need to prevent two things, one of which is lean out, which is why we did all the fuel modifications and the oxygen sensor. And the second thing is detonation. Any kind of pinging, detonation, pre-ignition, whatever you want to call it, is going to make cylinder spikes in pressure and can either shatter a piston or ruin a head gasket or something. And so all I'm going to do is dial the timing back so that we never get into like an unsafe zone. Okay. That's pretty much 29. I'm good with that. We're ready to road test.
Oh, don't hit the wood pile.
Okay.
I detect the sound of super power.
Drives pretty good so far.
Yeah, a little rich.
Really rich, 10 to 1. How come it's not fast?
Because it has no timing, it's pig rich.
Yeah.
And we haven't done any tuning, changed the spark plugs, nothing.
I know. But the carburetor's actually really good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's totally safe.
That's not bad.
Okay.
That was running pretty good, all things considered.
Sort of my anxiety is much less now because I thought the carburetor could be a disaster and it's not.
Yeah, I'm getting a sense of relief after this shakedown run.
I feel good enough that I think we can just hit the road and drive into West Tech though.
Oh, it drives like a brand new car.
So we're cruising the freeway and everything's going great. And then we watch our fuel pressure start to drop. And I'm like reaching out the window trying to vent the cap and stuff. And the bottom line is we're pretty sure that the fuel filter is getting clogged. And so we pulled over and we're gonna try and change the thing without getting gas all over ourselves.
Oh, there's hardly any gas dribbling out of there anyway.
Yeah, kind of clogged. Okay, what are our odds it'll go more than 20 miles?
I would put it at greater than 50%.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, fuel pressure's still good. Picking up crud through the tank. And just think, that means we're passing all that crud through our fuel pump too.
Yeah.
Not good.
No.
Wow, look how much more fuel pressure we have.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Ridiculous.
That was a really good fix.
Ah, good truck again.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I've seen it's been wavering for a little bit now.
Wow.
It's been going, wow, 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 wow.
That fast.
Yeah, it clogs up almost immediately.
It's already plugged.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
See, that air-fuel ratio is creeping up now.
Yep.
We're getting near the end of the line.
"10 miles. That's as far as we made it this time. So that's 2 fuel filters clogged in about a 30-mile period. Here's my theory. Now that we've got this return-style fuel system on it, it is constantly recycling fuel. It's always flowing. And so the volume going through the filter is a lot greater than it was when it was stock. And so it's just moving all those particles into the filter that much faster and clogging up like that. And unfortunately, I think probably also destroying our electric fuel pump because, like a chump, I don't have the inlet filter that you're supposed to have on your electric pump. I just have the sock in the tank. The good news is that we managed to stop right in front of a giant auto parts warehouse. Steve is inside trying to buy a fuel cell or a fuel tank, and we're just gonna bypass the stock tank and run a line down the side of the truck to the fuel pump and hopefully make it to West Tech on time after all.
I don't know if I should install this or hang myself with it.
Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going. Okay, this side of the return line is handled.
Okay, now if you could provide me with an adequate number of zip ties, I'll complete the installation.
And now for your Roadkill Garage zip tie moment. When a man asks for a zip tie, you never hand him one zip tie. Minimum 4. And you always want to hand them the cut off pliers at the same time. Otherwise, that's just bad garage etiquette. This has been your Roadkill Garage zip tie moment.
Freiburger, I was really impressed by the whole bag of zip ties.
I thought you might have been.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Thanks.
Boy, I'm pouring gasoline all over the place here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Good thing you've got the Venom steel gloves on.
these worthless dykes
Yeah.
can't cut hose.
I know.
Okay, there's gasoline pouring out at a furious pace. How come it's not clogged now?
I know. Let me get a match.
Oh, please don't. You'll engulf the entire vehicle in flames. And
It'd be a great end to the episode. That makes good video. Nobody blames you for not having tuned it up.
You could hide all the shortcomings in the whole project.
One fell swoop.
Yeah, one all-absorbing fireball.
Man, Dulcich is just doing the labor. I'm gonna stand in the shade. I might as well not even hide it. I can't reach it. You're just gonna have to do it.
I really don't need any help. I think you would just get in the way at this point.
That's okay. I think you've got it.
Freiburger,
Yeah?
have you got the fuel hose routed?
Hold on. I'm doing something.
He's not doing anything. He's tricking me. Right now, I imagine he's probably just reclining and resting in the shade.
I have the routing perfect.
Okay, so do I. And I think what I need now is to cut this right here.
Notice how I was right there for you?
I know, it's pretty good. That's that wrenching teamwork that everybody longs for.
Okay. We have a fuel system.
Got no pressure.
No, the fuel pump hasn't picked it up. So electric fuel pumps are terrible as lift pumps. They really want to have a gravity feed to them. And right now we're asking it to pull uphill before all of this downhill. So we might have to prime it.
Can you pull that thing out and see if we've got anything coming out of the return?
No return.
Okay, so it could be a priming issue.
It's a priming issue.
Okay, go ahead and prime it.
How? Think I can siphon it down like this?
No. While I manipulate 2 non-certified containers full of highly flammable gasoline, Freiburger will hit the switch and in theory will pump. Okay, Freiburger, engage the pumps.
Wow. We got it.
Stop.
8 PSI.
Oh, look at that. Look how much came into the return.
And look how it's a different color.
That was all that crappy gasoline. And the
Yeah.
other observation is that looks exactly like orange Gatorade. So if you put the cap on here, it would endanger the lives of the crew.
All right, try it, see if it maintains prime.
It's fluctuating wildly, and it's back down to just shot all the gasoline out of the hose and lost prime.
Unreal. So here's the thing. Every time you get an electric fuel pump, the instructions say must be gravity fed. And it turns out it cannot even handle like 18 inches of lift outside of this before it loses prime. So they are not kidding. I've never had this much trouble with one that appears to be in perfect operating condition.
No, me neither.
Why do I keep not believing instructions, even after years of reading them and failing?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Go! Hurry. Oh man, that's super dangerous.
This whole thing has been a ridiculous comedy of errors. Neither one of us trust that pump that we just put in as a lift pump, so we went and got another one. This one claimed that it could do a dry lift of 12 inches.
Oh.
So that's gotta work, right? Are we ready again?
flip it on. Oh, that's clacketing.
It's at 6 PSI.
Once I heard it clack, I knew
Home free.
it was gonna be sunshine and roses from there.
Works. Boom. That only took 3 fuel pumps in 3 hours.
I mean, that's a win.
Oh yeah. Woo! Victory!
Yeah!
Okay, hopefully it just drives now.
We totally dominated that fuel system.
Oh yeah. So this thing's getting 5 miles per the gallon, basically.
It's a full-on gas guzzler.
That's just about enough gas to get us to Fraser Park, which is the next fuel stop.
Okay, head to the nearest gas station.
I think I will.
Yeah, otherwise we're gonna be stranded on the side of the road. We're on our last jerry can.
Why would this guy want this nice brand new crew cab, air-conditioned, stereoified, cruise-controlled truck?
That's ridiculous.
So we stopped to get gas, and this happened. No shifter, not connected to the transmission anymore. Fix it, Steve. I'll sit here in the shade.
I have a hard job here, but I'm eating coconut ice cream, so it's okay.
Don't drip any ice cream on my blower.
I just can't do this and eat an ice cream at the same time. I'm almost done.
How many seconds before he starts another one? That's like literally his 6th popsicle today. Repaired?
Try it.
Park. Let my foot off the brake. Great. And we're off. And we officially made it.
Super.
I know. Oh yeah. Yesterday was miserable, but we pretty much brought that on ourselves, and today it's going to be a whole lot better here at Westech, where we're planning on chassis dynoing this thing. First of all, this combination is hideously mismatched. We have put way too much supercharger on a really, really stock engine, and here are the downsides. One of which is it is bypassing so much air through the blow-off valve as we're cruising down the highway that it is jet engine loud. And the second problem is when QFT set up this blow-through carburetor, I can't imagine that they ever assumed anybody was going to put it on a stock 350 with a dual plane intake manifold, and as a result, this tiny camshaft and that dual plane are drawing so much vacuum that that carburetor is super rich. Now the flip side of that is, I can't believe how good it drives. It doesn't have lean spots anywhere. It fires right up. It takes throttle, no problem. So it's better than I anticipated. Overall, this thing is slower than it was when we began, just because the tune-up is so far off, and especially because of the way we've got the timing set up right now. So we're here to fix all that at Westech, and we're gonna begin by taking the distributor out and limiting the timing curve, and we'll show you how and why that's done.
Okay, Freiburger, you're up.
Let me show you what's going on with our ignition timing situation. I've got this graph sort of set up here from idle to 5,000 RPM here on the bottom, and up the side I've got 5 through 35 degrees of timing. Now, on a normal high-performance small block Chevy, typically what I like to see is at idle, 15 degrees of initial timing, and then the mechanical advance mechanism in the distributor would take it up to 35 degrees all in by 3,000 RPM, so something like that. Now, on our setup, we happen to know that Tony and Lucky dropped in an MSD distributor straight out of the box. Now, the way MSD sets those up is they have 21 degrees of total timing in the distributor. That means if you put it in at 10 degrees initial, then it's going to swing another 21 degrees and you'll have 31 degrees of total timing. It also has really, really heavy advance mechanism springs on it, which are really, really slow. And we've retarded the timing to only 30 degrees. So what's happening is because it has 21 degrees of total swing in the distributor and we've got it set at 30 degrees total, you can do a deduction and know that we only have 9 degrees of initial timing at idle, whereas it would like to be 15. That's why the thing is really sluggish. Also, because the advanced mechanism springs in that MSD distributor are so heavy, they don't come all in till 4,000 RPM, and they're only going up to 30. So that looks like this. This is killing a lot of performance. Now the thing is, with this supercharger, we know we really don't want more than that 30 degrees of total timing. So what I'm gonna do is change the stop bushing in the distributor to 18 degrees. Unfortunately, that only is a change of 3 degrees, but then I'm also gonna put much lighter springs in it. And those lighter springs are gonna make it come in faster. So I'm gonna end up still with only about 10 degrees of initial timing, not as much as I want, but I'm gonna have it all come in by 2,500 RPM, and it's gonna bring me up to 28 degrees of total timing, so my curve is gonna look like that. I'm gonna have a much better mid-range right here, which is gonna help the performance of this thing. We've got our ignition timing all set now. We decided to go 12 degrees initial, 30 total, and it's swinging in faster than it was. The problem is this thing was also overboosting on the highway.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it was making like 15 pounds or something like that. I admit it. You admit it. Everyone admits it. So we're going to put on a 4.5-inch blower pulley instead of the 4.25 in an attempt to bring the boost down a little bit.
We need to tame the beast. Bump it a tiny bit. A little more. It's on. That's how you work on your supercharger.
Like a boss. We're ready to go. Stick it on the dyno, Dulcich.
All right.
Ish here from West Tech is helping us out on this thing, and we already know the thing is so stinky fat. We're gonna begin just by pulling jets out of the carburetor. He's gonna take 6 sizes out of the front and 4 out of the back. That's gonna lean it out a bunch. Okay, here we go. This will be our first pull. Where we're starting here is suitably pathetic. We just made 255 horsepower to the tires with a supercharger, making 9 pounds of boost.
That's really terrible, isn't it?
It's so lame.
Yeah.
It's so lame. But here's why. First of all, we're still looking at 10.3 to 1 air-fuel ratio, which is about 2 ratios too fat. And we want to see it like 12.0. And the other thing is, even with the blower on it, the engine with the stock heads and the stock camshaft, it just can't RPM. It is absolutely done making power at 5,000 RPM. And without RPM, it's hard to make horsepower. The torque outcome is really not quite as embarrassing. It's making 353 pound-feet, down in the neighborhood of 3,000, 3,200 RPM.
If you don't make the horsepower, talk about the torque.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So Ish is over there pulling even more jets out of it, meaning putting even smaller jets in it to try and lean it out to a 12 to 1 air-fuel ratio. What do you think of my scheme now, Dulcich?
A little bit of a flop, Freiburger.
I said it was an experiment.
Yeah, I know. All right, Ish, let her rip, buddy. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Here's our final answers. Loser. This thing made 370 pound-feet of torque, pretty much from 2,600 all the way to 3,500 RPM. Not too bad. The horsepower peak is what's really disappointing. We made 274 horsepower at 4,600 RPM at a peak of about 7.5 PSI. It made more boost than that if we revved it higher, but the power was just going down, and that's because that engine is a huge restriction. And that was really what this whole experiment was about. Is it worth putting boost on a stock engine? And the thing is, there's no such thing as too big of a blower. It's just not enough engine. This thing would work really, really well with a nice 406 underneath it or something like that. So yeah, put a blower on anything and save up and put cylinder heads on a camshaft on it later. Remember, this exact blower on a 350 stock short block made 760 horsepower with better cam, better heads, and 25 pounds. We proved it on Engine Masters. Now I think all we have left to do is go drive this thing around and hope that it at least does better burnouts, because that is what Roadkill Garage is all about. like got that whoosh.
Yeah.
I feel like Fast and Furious.
I want to hear it go.